James Dobney is here to take your home inspector questions, but before we get to the phones, we want to tell you the top 5 things you need to know before hiring someone. Now, have these rules recently changed?
It's been a few years now, but home inspectors now have to be licensed, and that's under Consumer Protection BC, so you can always check and make sure that your home inspector is licensed.
Okay, what other questions should we be asking?
Couple of things. First of all, you want to decide who you're going to use, so I would start with asking friends, family, your realtor, your lending institution. Get a referral, somebody that they've dealt with before and feel comfortable with and have done a good job. And go to that company's website, or several companies. I would suggest check out 3 or 4.
What should the information on their website say to make you think they're credible?
Well, it should talk about association membership, licensing, obviously. It should give you, there should be a sample report there. So if you can go to the website, you can look at the kinds of report you're going to get, when you're going to receive it, backgrounds of the inspectors, that kind of thing. So, and when you've decided on somebody, phone them and talk to the office and make sure that you get answers for your questions. So you should be able to know how long they've been in business, what kind of a report, as I said before. Are there any extra charges that they're going to spring on you when you get there? Those kinds of things. And you should feel comfortable with the answers that you get.
And then go to the inspection yourself.
Go to the inspection yourself if you possibly can. Now, obviously, if you're out of town, that's not going to work. If that happens, my suggestion is call the inspector after the inspection when you've got the report and ask questions. But if you're at the inspection, you can go through with them. They can point things out to you. You can ask questions and get answers in person. So that's really no substitute for that.
What else should we know?
When you book the inspection, the company should send you an agreement, and that agreement will lay out the terms of the inspection, and that will be what inspectors can do, what they can't do, what your expectations should be. If there are problems afterwards, very often that's because people didn't understand what an inspector can and can't do. So get that straight for sure.
And once your house has been inspected, how much service can you expect after that agreement ends? Well,
it depends on the company, but typically a lot of companies, our company, has a policy where anybody who calls that's had an inspection done by our company can phone and ask questions for as long as they own the home. So if you're getting, say, for example, 3 roof estimates, you want us to look at them and give you an opinion technically on whether they make sense or not, we can do that. Or anything that comes up with your house that's of a technical nature.
Nice to be able to have that. We have a caller. Sue from Enderby has a question for us. Sue, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Sue.
What's your question?
James.
Fire away.
We've just installed a pellet stove downstairs, but our main living quarters are upstairs, and we would like to heat that with the pellet stove. So we're wondering where in the house to put the vents and how many to put.
What kind of a heating system do you use now?
Electric.
So you have electric baseboard?
Yes.
And you're looking to distribute the heat from the pellet stove?
Correct.
Yeah, well, obviously heat's going to rise, so it really depends on the areas that you want to get the most heat to. And I would practice. You know, try it out. Try a few areas. Start with the main living area, cut holes in the ceiling there. Think about installing some fans to move the air around. So it's really going to be a matter of trial and error. Obviously, the bedrooms typically you don't want as warm as the rest of the house, so I would concentrate on the main living area.
All right.
Still there?
All right. Sue, thank you for your question. We do have a question from Joan from Victoria. She writes, we have a bedroom in our house that's located over our attached garage. With winter on the way, I'm reminded we never seem to be able to get it warm enough, no matter how high we set our thermostat. Our house is heated by a gas furnace. What are your suggestions?
Lots of heating questions now, and that tells us something about what's
year.
on the way. Very often a problem with rooms over garages, and it's because it's cold underneath. So a couple of things you want to check for. Make sure that you have insulation between the garage and the house itself. Probably you do. Even if it is insulated, the problem is if it's a forced air furnace, by the time the air typically gets to that room, it can have cooled off quite a bit. So if you have access to the ducts, wrap insulation on them, heat them up that way. Balance your system. With a forced air heating system, what you can do is you can turn off registers where you're getting too much heat, and that'll force more air into the rest of the house. So that's a bit of trial and error. Closing off some register, opening up others. If none of those things work, and they often don't over a garage, I would look at installing a permanently wired baseboard electric heater. with its own thermostat, and that way you've
Should you
got
be
independent.
insulating the walls of the garage just to keep whatever heat you have in there?
You can do that, but it's probably not worth it. If it's not insulated now, to take off drywall and insulate it probably isn't worth it. The ceiling probably is, but the walls probably not.
Okay.
Obviously check and make sure that the room over the garage is insulated as well, but typically it will be.
All right, thank you. Paul from Lillooet writes, we have a toilet problem we can't seem to solve. It gets blocked frequently and always seems slow to flush. All our other fixtures drain okay, so I don't think it's a sewer problem. We've done a lot of plunging, even bought a special snake designed specially for toilets. That sounds like an infomercial. Nothing seems to help. Do you think we need a new toilet?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I would say maybe you need a new toilet, but probably what it is, in a case like this, we see this a fair bit, people think, oh, there's a problem with the main drain. But if you're not getting backups in your bathtub or your shower, it's not that. It's usually the toilet. And what happens in a toilet, it has what's called an internal trap. So inside the toilet, there's a curved part that holds water so that you don't get sewer gas coming up. What happens is, especially in houses that have young children, things get flushed down there, and so they get jammed in there. It could be a hairbrush, it could be a toy, it could be anything. And the only way to get that out is to actually take the toilet off. So you can plunge to your heart's content, it's not going to work. So you have to take the toilet off, and then you can look at it from underneath. Rubber gloves, by the way. Not a nice job. So in the other
It sounds like they might have reached their breaking point, and they might just be ready to do that.
So look for there. That would be the prime culprit, I would suspect. If none of those work, it could be that you just can't get a clear new toilet.
All right.
So.
Thank you very much. If you have any more questions for James, check out his website, jamesdobney.com. Next weekend, travel consultant Claire Newell joins us live. If you are planning a holiday and have a question, send it to weekendnews@globaltv.com. Let's head back to Sonia and Fanny Bay, our small town feature.
Thanks so much, Lee.